Hi everybody, it's Natalie. And here we are, second chakra. I wore my orange for Svadhisthana The Right to One's Own Needs, second chakra. And the shadow is guilt. You could just feel guilt. It's like sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, I can just taste guilt. And so here we go right in, huh? So I'd like to think about this week in the training and for you to contemplate, what do I really know about the second chakra? What do I really know? I just want to make sure my volume's on. What do I really know? What has Natalie really taught me? And where else can I get this information? So sometimes as we're doing this therapeutic process for yourself, I don't send tons of reading literature. I will, and I can link you to all the other places. And I will bring some more to you, but I'm really trying to get us to connect down into the second chakra. Here we have the root, Mudahara, that we have worked on, and now we're moving up. You know, I think it's important, my teacher that I credit so much to, when we do certain classes, and I'm bringing a little bit of all those classes into this, as I'm a chakra teacher with sacred centers, I think it's important to actually represent the color, because we're thinking about energy. We're thinking about energy and the energy of color, right? So from the spa specialty that I've shared with you, when we're doing hair or skin or, I know that some of you are artists, when we're thinking about colors and what they represent, how they can shadow other colors, and then we can combine colors. There's an energy property to this. And so as we move up from the root, the like mud, call that right, in the ground, right? Are we like sunk in the ground? Is it hard? We've done this work, I know, and I'm asking you every day to incorporate a little bit more. We're in the second chakra, and my feet are tucked already up on the chair. And when I first was doing this work, I was like, ugh. I'd put my feet down on the ground, and I would just be like, so feeling all that tension. And then I'm teaching you, and you're teaching and learning for yourself, how do we release some of that tension? And part of it is the rule that I haven't sent all of you the paperwork, which I will. My one and only rule is give yourself an effing break. It's a rule. And we say it's like Fight Club, right? I don't know if you ever saw the movie Fight Club, but there is no Fight Club. That's the whole deal. It's a whole thing. But what I'm saying is just to really think about this rule. That's the only rule. And sometimes my clients are like, I need some help, but I know I'm going to reach out to you, and you're going to say, I have to give myself an effing break, and that's the rule. And you know what? I don't need a break. I need you to push me. I'm like, oh, so where are we? When we're like, push, 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 where are we? Just noticing where they're at. Right? Did you answer the will? They're in the will? Often. When we're like, push, 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 we're in the will. And I find that a lot of my students that come to me are very strong will people. Takes one to know one, right? Thank God for my will. It helped me survive something really horrific, and it happened second chakra when I was 2, the terrible trauma. And sometimes I think it's important for me to share it, and sometimes I don't always want to share it when we're in a therapeutic process, because then, compassion, grief, we really connect on the human level there, and then I'm overriding what the work is for you, and now you're here with me. But I feel like today, as we start the second chakra in this way, it's important for me to let you know that my part, and then you can see how we can move together. And I've shared this story many times in chakra classes. I'm often the one in second chakra that is asked to speak, because my father was murdered when I was 2. It's pretty brutal. It's pretty rough. And even as I say it to you right now, I can just notice how it's shifted so much from the place before I did the deepest work. I would tell the story, but it would be much different energetically. I would really come right from the will, and I would be able to talk about all the reasons why I was able to move through it, and how much I was able to do this, and how strong and how grateful, and I'd be all there. But as I really was able to move all the way down to the beginning and then climb back up and relieve some of the tension and then have more space for my true self, in those years I struggled to get the words out, because I was really feeling the feelings that were behind it. And as was shared with you in the somatic expression,
the feelings were stuck from this small little person. I mean, I was bigger than this, a 2-year-old stuck in that body. The ting happened. Ting, I am Irish, so I'm not really trying to say ting as in like the ting with my accent. Got to bring the fun. But the trauma happened. The ting is this. And so I'm going to use my beautiful singing bowl to explain this to you in this way. So I don't have my little bells. So just hear that vibration. And now we have a sound vibration, right? Because everything comes at an energy level. So, and now the vibration comes out. And I can make this more stronger. Now it's this little bowl, and here I am, this big person, and I'm explaining the story from a time that I was 2. Well, now let's picture me as a 2-year-old. You know, cute little tiny me. I was little, right? Little tiny person. And when the information came, however it came, here's the vibration. It's locked. I get this information. I'm so little. How do I psychologically develop and process it? Coming from a parent who was in their own complete fight, flight, freeze mode, whichever on the nervous system, which will be another class that I'll explain this. You don't have to know everything right now. How was this held from my mom sharing to me? And when I share this story of this trauma, it was of an Italian nature with a lot of criminal activity. I can't imagine the trauma. My mother was already holding her body. She fell in love with a man. She came over from Ireland, met him, and the two of them, not saying my father was good or bad, he was a young man, you know, who learned a lot of tricks in Boston, came to New York, tried to do his best, met this woman, had 2 kids, 70s. I mean, just saying, the Irishman. There's a lot of connections, stories. And I don't usually share all of this because I didn't know it. And you'll learn that in another chakra lesson. But all of this stuff was coming, and they were 27, and they were like, and then tragedy hit. Horrible things. And it lasted for a long time, and I think that's why I'm an awesome teacher, because I wounded in many places, and I have the will and awesome people around me to keep going. You're part of that reason. I just want you to know that this work really helps me, and it has always helped me. We get to a certain place, and then we're like, oh. And then in the second chakra, this part, the right to one's own need. And in the human survival level, we need the other. To be held, to be cared for, to be fed, to be seen, to be safe. And then as we grow as humans, we need each other. If we don't have 2 to come together, however that works, however those babies are made. I have my client, is one of the first test tube babies, as she calls herself, in Western Massachusetts. How awesome is that? She's amazing. So her mom couldn't do it without the test tube, as she calls it. And so the need. So when we come from that place around 2 years old, I mean, Anna Day is always saying, like, careful with the times, but developmentally, right? We're really coming from the root, then we're moving up to the second chakra. And here, my mother gets this trauma. My brother and I get this information in a much different way, and I'll share that more. And now the locked energy inside this smaller person's body, vibrating, and then compressed, and then pushed down. And that was pushed down for many, many reasons, because there were many lies. A little more sound here. Maybe to let it out. I hit the bowl by accident. To let that process unfold did not happen. That is not how grief was accessed in my home. So it was buried. And then the lens of the right to my own needs shadowed by guilt. And I'm layering an Irish Catholic mother on top of it. I love you, Mom, up in heaven. I'm just saying. And she did her best when she was 27. I mean, but to come finally down to that place and cracked open, I needed to be seen in that place as that, to be safe enough, to have somebody strong enough to help me. And it happened to be, I'm fortunate enough to say, Anna Day Judith, who is, an 11-time bestseller for Chakra. studies. She's universal. And I'm just so fortunate because I was just right where I needed to be because I just kept going. And I had to ask Anadea in a class for some help with a beautiful client that I was working with. Beautiful, beautiful. I say, well, she's a co-teacher. She's also been in this program with me, and she's a guardian angel from classes that I've taken. And she's a beautiful human being. And we did some work. I asked Anadea for some help. I wanted this girl to get help, and she had never been able to be offered help in that way because she was the doer. She was the get it done kind of girl. And I was like, F this right now. I'm going to give myself a break. I can't go to the place because I don't know yet, but Anadea can. And I'm going to get up and help her because I'm really good at getting help for others. Now, boom, Anadea comes over. We do this work. I get to work with her, which is, I learned so much from that. And this was quite some time ago. And then this beautiful girl was really released so much block charge that Anadea turned and said, you know what, Natalie, I'm going to actually work with you on this one so that her name is Reeve, and I can share her name because I'm about to share something else, and she gave me permission, so that Reeve can have a minute. And I'm telling you, when I talk about, and I've talked to you about charge, and when you go to that charge that's very compressed and you have that growing edge, or you have that like limited edge where you know I have to get out, I was completely trying to figure out how I could run out of that room because I knew this woman I couldn't hide from. Now, I didn't know that in a brain way. It was my body. My body was really, really afraid, and I was like frightened, but I also was in this like, you know, very powerful program, and I wanted to graduate. And so she went in, and that moment changed my life. And I think that in the program, I think some of you had some powerful moments, and we will continue. That was significant, and I was in I was away in a retreat, so I was completely supported to be able to stay in this process and have what I need. So I don't always come in and crack you guys, and then we totally like unpack and then build again, because our coping mechanisms and our coping skills are really important. They're what save us. But as we're breaking through and trying to not let them hold us hostage and prisoner to something that happened so long ago, and then we miss out on what's happening in our life right now, the right to our own needs, which is joy, love, happiness. I'm going to share some lists of actual needs in the next video, because I want you to start thinking, well, what's your need? And so for me, and I've shared this, my need was to like know everything, get it done, help others, be the best I could, and have very little need. So when I actually cracked and really had true needs, it was very uncomfortable for me. I felt like an idiot. I remember the first time someone asked, well, what do you need? Like, what's a true need? And I was like this adult who could help others find their need. I mean, I'd done serious professional work, helping so many others, being able to be, I believe, a wonderful therapeutic professional. To come down to like Natalie's own need, not as a wife or a mother, as a friend, but as a human. At first I couldn't really access exactly a need for me. So I cried a lot, and I felt like a total jackass. I can say that to you now, but before, there was so much shame, right? That will just hijacks me, always in the will. Not anymore, though. I don't want to say that, but I could recognize where I am now. And as I've shared with you, this is some real deep trauma, and it was locked for a long time, and I know I've told you I will keep going and explain more, because there's something in every chakra that I needed to go slow. And I needed to respect the fact that I had developmental trauma, so that as we are processing what we need at the level of the age we're at, we're able to access things. We're able to manage it. But that doesn't always happen in life. Life doesn't always just work exactly as we're expecting. And here I am making this video, and we're experiencing such shifts in our world. Things that we thought, oh, that wouldn't happen, and it's happening. So here we are. We've just done the second chakra, a little therapeutic like lesson. I appreciate you listening. And I want you to just take this time, and I want you to consider this. What is a need, and where does guilt come in that? And so for me, I'll say to you, my need was to go slow.
because I'm like fast, I get it done, I'm a New Yorker, and I'm awesome at that. But then when I had to come and actually talk about needs, like a need to take some time to go back into the past and actually ask for some help and think about how hard my life was in the places of like neglect and abandonment, and of always feeling like my existence was to be there for the need of others. It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard. And so I'm asking you now, we can go into that place and examine it for yourself in the second chakra. And I want you to really unpack that. And I want you to also know that as you come back now, I can say that my needs are to take time for myself, to make a job that works just the way that I need. And I need to help people. I love that. I feel like that's my calling and that I'm very good at it. And my need to be able to be light and fun and put on colors that work and be creative. I got these crazy fun pants too. My husband bought them for me when I was doing a training once. And I was like, these pants are so fun. I spent a lot of time in my life wearing gray, black, and white. Because then I could kind of just like always look very professional, very put together, and then I could come forward and not be too much. Oh, because I was already always too much. But yet I was too much in all these places and very much not here for me in the just me places. And so this is this expression of the second chakra, Svadhisthana. And I know that I sent you a hand last week. And I sent you a voice recording, and I listened to it right before I started. 20 minutes of talking about water. So in this process, in this training, these videos are specific only to my training clients, and I make other ones, but the work is the self-reflection. So here in this week, what I'm going to ask you to do is how much of this are you giving to yourself? So we did a lot of groundwork. I sent you a lot of videos, and the videos and the ground are like, you got to really get in there, and sometimes we want to blow it off and jump to the next one. Trust me, I know this. This is the hard stuff. Once we go up, it's like, oh, it gets lighter, the energy's lighter. But we gotta stick and really understand what the root is. And so I've asked, and I'm gonna ask you now, to face a fear every day. Face a fear, and then connect that fear to the right to your own life. And so that could be something, like, well, my fear is to touch my toes, do some push-ups, ask someone for help, or wear a new outfit I never wore, or take a chance, post a picture, something. It doesn't have to be like I'm gonna jump off a mountain, or I'm gonna it doesn't have to be this massive. And I'd shared with you in that calling, that last session of the voice recording, that my fear is with me. It's every day. And in the past, right? I just compressed down from the second chakra down, and I'd stay in the wheel, and I'd go forward, and that saved me. I'm grateful for that. I'm effing grateful. But now that I can come into a softer place, I can actually say no to people more now. I can say, not right now, I need a little time. I need a break. Oh, to say I need a break. Still, it's really hard to say that. Or to say, I'm here right now, I'm a person, and I'm just needing a minute. But then to be able to move forward, which we will when we get to the will, to not get stuck in the fear and suck in the guilt. So from that place of the second chakra, I'm asking you, find something orange. So these fun pants my husband got me. And in the past I'd be like, I'm good, I don't need anything. And he showed me these fun pants a couple of years ago. And he was like, you're going on that training, this would be really fun. And I was like, I don't need anything, I'm totally good, I have what I need. No, that's old. Oh, to have a husband who's actually thinking of getting me something, as doing something nice for me, which is totally who he is. I just didn't let myself access that. And I was like, yeah, I love them, thanks so much. And he bought me a whole bunch. And then I wore them, and I could look down, and in times that maybe I was struggling, I'd be like, I have this husband who I almost pushed away over and over and over again when we were younger. Totally did. I was abandoned. I was abandoned. So I was like, ooh, I'm going to abandon him before he abandons me. Not in the brain. I was not thinking that. But my actions, that old energy, old ways of being, that's what I was doing. And I was lucky enough. I don't want to say just lucky. I was smart, wise, and capable. I'm going to give myself that. I'm not going to just because I had what I needed, and I give myself so much of that, and I will give that support and love back to my young mom, and she did her best. But I needed more, and I didn't get it. And I deserved more, and I didn't get it. And not because she wasn't amazing, but because she was deeply, deeply traumatized by grief. And there's more of that we will share more in epigenetics and the way that we act in our human